actions, close your eyes and think about them. Remembering back all of those actions that you do, we take them for granted. In those actions, we are helping so many people. You are changing lives, but we take them for granted. We don't think about them. For that reason, you should be proud of yourself because you are changing people's life. You are impacting people's life. Even if you're not thinking about it, you are actually doing it every single day. So for that, be proud of yourself and you deserve a clap every once in a while. So, hello everyone. As Muhammad introduced me, my name is Mariam Muhammad. I'm Palestinian, but I live here in Lebanon. So, he told the introduction about myself, so I won't be repeating it. What I like to do in the beginning of the talk is to give the audience a little outline about what I'm gonna talk about. So, I'm gonna tell you the outline for today. So first, I'm gonna be sharing my story because what I noticed, a lot of people have a common ground between me and them. So that's how we can connect all together. Second, I'm gonna talk about how volunteering changed my life. Third, lesson that you learn from volunteering without even knowing that you are learning it. Fourth, I'm gonna talk about the international and national opportunities you can get through volunteering. Fourth, how to start doing the action, start to volunteer. And finally, some tips for applying for programs, fellowships, maybe in interviews, and all this kind of stuff. So that's our main points we're gonna be discussing today. So first about my story. Uh, Here in Lebanon, because I'm a Palestinian, I'm basically a refugee. And unfortunately, being a refugee in Lebanon mean most of your rights you cannot have them, such as deprived and working more than 70 jobs. We cannot own houses, and most of the time, if you want to own a house, you have to live in a refugee camp, where the situation is beyond bad. And since we are deprived from working from 70 jobs, Palestinians can barely find any job that pays well, which lead most of the Palestinian population in Lebanon to be underprivileged and poor. And that was the situation of my family. I grew up in a very poor and weak background. We barely had any money for food. And all situation around me and circumstances used to demotivate me every single day because I was angry at my community. It's only bring us down and drag us down. I was very angry at what is happening to Palestinians here in Lebanon. And adding on top of that, of this bad circumstances, I had a personal problem with my own father. So my father, he's really old. He's about now 85 years old. And these kind of people have an old mentality, which girls should not be educated. And my father advocated for this, that I should not be educated. So for 12 years, I kept fighting him to go back to school every single year. I used to fight with my own father and beg him to go back to school because he used to think girls should not be educated. They should go stay at home and eventually get married. So those all the circumstances around me, from my family, from my community, and all those stuff around me used to demotivate me to do anything here in Lebanon. But after the 60th grade, I was really young and I kept fighting for my education. Even he was a very close person to me. But I was so confident I want to continue my education and I did not back it down. That moment I realized I want to do something about the problems I see in my community. In Lebanon, it's very often to see children on the street begging for money, try to get the food out of the garbage, or old people having no houses, living under bridges without anything. Those scenes used to kill me every single day, but I was too afraid to do anything about those problems. But at that moment, I knew I need to do something about those problems, even if it was small actions. So the first thing I started doing is to collect some donations from my school. If we have some leftovers from events, we used to get them and give them to people out around the school because we used to have so many people just sitting on the street waiting for food. And a few years later, I stumbled upon a term called NGOs. NGO, it means non governmental organizations. Once I knew about those NGOs and what they do, It's like this huge piece of the puzzle. I finally find it. Then through NGOs, I found my opportunity to make a huge difference in my community. The first time I started volunteering, it was in a soup kitchen. This soup kitchen used to feed around every Saturday around 500, 800 people that absolutely have no food on for the entire week. Having this power to give someone a plate of food and make them smile and thanking me, it was one of the greatest feelings I could ever feel. I became addicted to this feeling, and since that moment, I could not stop. I started volunteering to so many NGOs in Lebanon. Whenever I found an NGO that I liked the cause, I just applied there and tried to volunteer. So I ended up giving all my free time and also some of the times that I have for volunteering, because the feelings that you feel when you help someone, when you make their life better, is the most amazing feeling that you can ever feel. So volunteering made me realize how much difference I can do through the small action that I'm doing. You think if I have an extra sandwich and I give it to someone on the street, I won't be making any difference. But no, you are making a lot of difference on those people's life. You are giving them a meal. You are taking away the hunger that they are feeling and making them happy. That led us to phase two. When I volunteered, I was doing a difference, but I wanted a bigger impact. That's why I started creating my own organization and initiatives to try to help more people and spread the impact. That will lead us to point two: how volunteering changed my life. Through volunteering, I learned so many lessons I did not realize I was learning. The first important one is networking and being an excellent communicator. When you are in an NGO working with strangers, people that you don't know, you never spoke your entire life with them, but you have to work together to make the impact that you want to make. So you learn how to network with people, with strangers, with important people, with so many diverse and different backgrounds. Because very often in NGOs, they are not from the same nationality. You have this diverse people from all around the world coming for one cause, and you are networking with those people. So in the long run, maybe that person knows someone that, yeah, let's say you want to work as a computer engineering, and that person knows someone who has a company there. So they connect you both together. So you can network a lot through NGOs and being an excellent communicator, because I know a lot of people who were introverts, but through volunteering their personality became more and more stronger, and they become an expert communicator. They can go to a total stranger and start talking to them and communicating with them, knowing how to strike up a chat between a person that you don't know. So the first lesson that I'm sure everyone who volunteers noticed, that they're going to be an excellent communicator and know how to network very well. Second lesson that you learn from volunteering is unlimited skills. So every single time you volunteer, you're going to be learning about so many things, such as I volunteered once in an NGO where we do the screening for the heart. So this thing only doctors know it, but as a volunteer, they teach me how to do it. So I learned a skill that people pay for it to learn it at med school, and I learn it for free, and I help people through it. Other thing that you can learn is how to give out a speech. So sometimes in NGOs you have to take the lead and go up. So actually you learn so many skills without even knowing. That's the amazing thing about volunteering, because you are on the spot in an environment that you have to learn, that you have to adapt. So you end up learning so many skills at the same time without even noticing. Third thing that you can be learned from volunteering is to how to be a leader, which is the most important thing. Because now, like, let's say if someone is interested to applying to the United Nations at any part like UNDP, WHO, ECOSOC, they don't look for candidates anymore, because all of us have university degrees, or all of us have those requirements. But what can make you special is being a true leader, and volunteering prepare you to be that leader in your community. Because being a leader in an NGO, suddenly a problem appears, And you have to think fast, you have to do troubleshooting, to have to think about what can I do so I can help in this situation. And sometimes the volunteers, it's a bit chaotic when you have like over 20 volunteer. So you learn how to split tasks, how to see the strengths in every one of those volunteer, are where to utilize it and put that volunteer to work. So volunteering help you in the most important thing now that all the world look for it, how to be a leader. And I think this is the most important thing that you can learn from volunteering. Leadership is the trend now. Being a leader make you a special person, make you a person that people can put a confidence in to get the job done. So that's why volunteering can make you learn so many skills, such as networking, communicating better, some practical skills, being a leader. And the fourth thing that you can learn from volunteering, that I'm sure all of you would like to know more about, it is a free ticket to international and national opportunity. And when I say free ticket, literally it's all stuff for free. So going to our third point, which is the international and national opportunities. So I said the term free ticket. So I'm going to give you an example. All the times I traveled outside Lebanon, I did not have to pay a dollar from my pocket. My tickets, the hotel accommodation, the pocket money, every single thing was fully funded. Because why? When I was filling out the application, as I said, there's those requirements like you have to be 18, you have to have this degree, you have to do blah blah blah, all this kind of stuff. But when you fill out, oh, I volunteer in my community, I'm committed, I want to make a change, I want to help people. When they see that person is committed and they want to help people, they see someone special, someone who really want to create a difference in this world. For that reason, they are willing to fund you to travel. I travel to the United States, I travel to America and the States, I travel to so many different cities there. And all those were fully funded. They funded me to go there because they believed I'm a person who's willing to commit to make a change, not only in my country but globally. Those kind of people who prove they are committed, who are leaders, organizations are willing to pay money for them to come and learn from them. So that's why being a volunteer proves that you are a committed person who want to create a change. So, about national opportunities, how can volunteering make you special? First, when you volunteer, you're gonna become popular in your community that you are a volunteer. Being a volunteer also means that you are a change maker. So, within your community, you're gonna be popular that you are someone who's creating a change in your community. You are changing lives there, and that will make you an immediate leader and an immediate change maker. So whenever you want to apply for a position and they look, oh, he's a volunteer. Oh, we may heard his name from someone, because when you volunteer, people really talk about, oh, this person really he's committed to make a change. So your name become popular within your country. So that's how volunteering nationally can really lift up your application, and you already got the fame for it. So whenever you apply to something, it proves that yeah, he's a good person where we need to hire him or hire her. So internationally, so what makes you unique in your international application is showing your leadership. It's all go around it's your you being a leader. Being a leader is super important internationally because people stop looking for people who are faking it. Because you can know who is faking being a leader and who's really committed doing it. When someone want to volunteer, not say all of their free time like I do, but most of their free time, to half of their free time, to help people in their community. They won't be able to do it on daily basis or on constant basis if they're not really passionate about it. So in your application, when they see you are someone who's giving out your free time and being committed over years to create this change that you want to see, those people see you as a change maker, which means they're gonna say, oh, he's committed, I want to work with that person, I want to make him develop and develop their skills so they can help people around them being a leader. And the most important thing about being a leader is not being a leader by yourself, is actually motivating other people to be leaders. Because if I'm only a leader with all skills, I'm gonna make this circle of impact. But if I taught someone else how to be a leader, I'll be creating a bigger circle of impact. And that person motivating other person to be a leader, this circle of impact will increase and increase till all the change that we need to see will happen. So being a leader, it's your job to inspire other people to be leaders too. Whenever I go outside and learn skills, I make sure I transfer it back to my friends and my community so I can help them. So that's very important about volunteering. Is the leadership that you can get. And those leadership will gonna give you free ticket to national and international opportunities all the time. Now, the fourth point about volunteering. A lot of people question that I get, it's how to start volunteering. We don't know how. Maybe they talk to an NGOs or to an organization and they do not respond. Maybe they don't know how to find their interest. So the very first step that you need to do is to figure out where do I want to volunteer in. Maybe I like working with children. Maybe I like helping in cooking food for underprivileged people. Maybe I like doing some medical stuff like taking blood pressure and this kind of stuff. So you need to think which sector I really want to help in. Then when you know your interest, you go on Google. Google is the biggest bank of information for free for you. You need an opportunity, you need anything, you can always find it on Google. So you'll be writing on Google, let's say NGOs that works with orphans. You want to work with orphans, let's say. So there's this group of organization that would appear on Google. So write them down. The second thing you need to think about how many hours I can volunteer there. And second, is it far from where I live? Because the first NGO that I volunteered in, it was pretty far from my home. I had to walk from home 20 minutes, then get a bus for approximately 10 minutes ride, then walk about 5 minutes till I reached the place. It was time consuming for me. And it may be also money consuming. So you need to put all those questions in mind. So find your interest. Second, think about how much time you are willing to give, and is it far away from your home or not? So after finding this stuff, you put a list of organization. Okay, those organizations are close to my house. They match my interest, and they also match the hours I want to give. Some organization require from you to give approximate, like let's say, 4 hours per week. Some organizations open for volunteering at any time. So you see which type of organization that you prefer the most. So I have this five list of NGOs. In Lebanon, if you want to send an email to an NGO, they will not respond. I tried that. Like the first time I wanted to volunteer, I sent several emails. I didn't get any replies back. So it depends on the country. You need to figure out in your country what is the best way to approach the NGO. Here in Lebanon, it's either contacting them by social media or giving them a phone call. And if they did not respond to those two, I go down to their headquarters and go talk to them. So, my advice to all of you if the NGO is very active on social media, this means if you message them on social media like Facebook, Instagram, or any social media platform, they're gonna respond back to you because they are active on it. And if did not respond back, you can call them. And the worst case scenario, if it is close to your house, go down and visit them and show that you are really passionate about volunteering for their mission and what they are working on. All right. So that's how to do volunteering, how to like choose what you want to volunteer. So when you go down to those NGOs, let's say you put list of three NGOs and you went to all of them. Now you have to figure out which NGOs I want to commit. You can always like go to three NGOs if you want to, but if you want to stick with only one NGO, you need to think which NGO felt like home. Trust me, when you go to an NGO, some NGOs, okay, you are making impact, you are helping people, but sometimes you just feel uncomfortable volunteering. From my experience, I really volunteered in like more than 20 NGOs in Lebanon, and sometimes it felt off. I was helping people, I was happy, but I was not really comfortable being in that environment. And it's totally fine. Not all NGOs will feel like home. But the first NGOs I volunteered in, like it it didn't feel only like home. Like I just felt I just fitted there. So look for those NGOs that make you feel that way and stick to those NGOs. And the most important tip to start volunteering is to actually go do it. The big step, all of those that I mentioned, finding the interest, finding the NGOs, they are all so simple. The most important step is actually to get out there, no matter the circumstances around you. You need to think about the problems that you see in your community. Think about those problems that hurt you when you see them, whether they were on the streets, whether it's in your own community. Think about those pain points that you see and make those your motivation to rise and start volunteering and making an impact in your community. All right, so the point that we're going to talk about now is tips for programs, applications, and interviews. So I know a lot of you is interested in applying to the United Nations. So a note I want to give, the United Nations basically volunteering programs, it's long, it's for about 6 months. They give you a little bit of money for transportation, but if your house is close to the work of place, you can take the stipend for yourself as a small salary, but most of the time they give stipend. So, volunteering with the United Nations, it's a very challenging application process, which I'm gonna talk about for a little bit. But you need to know it's a big commitment because most volunteering in the NGOs, it's like a month commitment or a weekly commitment, depends on the NGOs what they want. But volunteering with the United Nations, it's a long-term commitment for 6 months. But the good thing about it, most of the times, like let's say 70%, 80% from the time, if they see their volunteers committed to the actions that they are doing and for the cause that they are advocating for, they hire them later on as employees in that sector. So it have its benefits and not. So the application of the United Nations for volunteers, you can find it online. Just write on Google, volunteering for the United Nations or volunteers for the United Nations, and they're gonna link up here. They're gonna ask for you to create a profile. So you start out filling your profile. They're gonna ask you so many questions about volunteering and your leadership, because through this kind of stuff, you prove that you are a committed volunteer and a leader in your community. So you need to know how to make your application very special. And it is something that I highly believe in. What make each every single one really special, that we are not all the same. Each one of us have their own story to tell. So think, what is my story? Maybe my story, even though let's say my story, I came from a poor background and my father not supporting me in anything that I do. But even so, those challenges, I rose up and I created a change in my community. So your story may be familiar, it may be not, because everyone have their unique story. So tell that story. Those kind of stories inspire people because you have no idea how many people suffer from the same thing that you are suffering from. And seeing someone who lived it and had battle with it and they overcame it motivated them and inspired them to actually take the lead and get up and make a change. So your story, what makes you special? So ask yourself, what is my story? Because everyone have a story to tell. And tell about that story. Talk about it. Even so, I was living through hard circumstances and everything was bad around me. I want to create a difference. Even though my community was so racist to me, I should not judge them. Because when you are helping someone, I just don't only help Palestinians. I help Lebanese, Palestinians, Syrians, whatever nationalities we have here in Lebanon. Because you need help everyone. You don't put any oh, they're from different nationalities, I'm not gonna help them. No, you help everyone. So tell that story because it would actually make your application very special. Now, for the second thing inside the United Nations application is very important. Let's say you got accepted and now you have your interview. So in the interview, like some common mistakes that people do, they make it one-sided interview. So when you are doing an interview, they're gonna start asking you a question, you're gonna start answering. When you answer, don't answer directly, like as if you're having a chat with the person. So don't start like, "Hello, my name is Mariam." He's gonna ask me what you do. I'm gonna start listing what I do in life. No, making as a chat, make them all from this. I did this. I did this. So like, show them that you are an excellent communicator and ask them back like, oh, did you ever volunteer in something? Oh, what did you work on? Did you have like, oh, this is an interesting project? I read like you can always, the most important thing also is to read about your interviewer if you know them. Let's say I know who's my interviewer is. So I try to Google them, look to their LinkedIn profile, see their project that they are doing. So in the interview, I'm going to say, oh, I read about they are working on a project for like helping underprivileged people. I was very impressed by your work. How did you plan it? How long did it take to plan it and implement it? So that's how you show that you did your research and you're an excellent communicator. And you also don't make the interview like one sided. This will make the interviewer remember you as interviewee. He's gonna remember that person has strong personality and that person actually did his research and it was a fun interview from both sides. So the United Nations interview, they look for those people. They look for competent people, they look for excellent communicators, and they look for leaders. And okay, sometimes those stuff may seem hard, but it's not. Because as I told you in the very first start, you do a lot of stuff. Like let's say I help my friend in a math problem. That moment when you help your friend in the math problem, it may seem like a small thing, but maybe if you did not help him out, he would not pass the test, he would not like pass the grade, etc. So you actually changed their life by that. So don't take the small action that you do for granted. All of us are leaders. It's just about how do we develop ourselves more and more. And the best incubator to develop that is by volunteering. So United Nations in total look for leaders in their community, people who are committed to change and fun people. They don't only look for work, work, work. They need people who are fun to work with, confident with their work, and people who love to communicate. So that's for United Nations. And most of the times, the volunteers they have to be 18 years old, and depends on the opportunity. That sometimes they require university degrees, sometimes not. So just always look for the requirements. I, from my side, when I first started working with the United Nations, I work now with the UNDP as an advisory board member for a program called Youth Leadership Program. It's a program all around the MENA region, and I think it's also international. You can Google it, Youth Leadership Program. So basically, I was first a participant in that program with the UNDP. Then after a while, they opened for positions for advisory board member all over Lebanon. So I got chosen as an advisory board member for the whole Beirut area, which is the capital in Lebanon. So that's how I got my opportunity to actually work directly with the UN. Even though I did not finish my university degree yet, I was 19 years old by that time. But I got this opportunity because when I filled out my application, all my colleagues from the different areas, they are really old. They're all like 25, 26 and older, but I was like only 19. But what made me competent as much as them is my leadership skills and also my tremendous experience in volunteering, because the experience in volunteering can be considered as a work experience because as I said you learn so many skills at project planning, project implementation, how to split tasks, how to do troubleshooting. So this kind of stuff make my application much stronger than any average person. So yeah, that's how the United Nations basically recruits. Sometimes they recruit people under 18. So whenever you have an opportunity with the United Nations, that just look very well to the requirements. And if you are eligible, show your passion inside your application and tell out your story and show them that you are a true leader. And the interview, just be yourself and have fun. Now, a second thing about international programs. Let's say I applied for programs with the U.S. Embassy and United Department State at the United States. So what they basically looked at in that program specifically is your thinking on the spot. So the interview there was really weird. I want to really share it with you because you may have a similar experience someday. So when you say an interview, you think there's like gonna be three people interviewing you or one people, depends. But you never think like all the interviewees, I was among five people, they told us to sit on a round table and they like put the blank white papers and pencils on the table. Then the panel told us now you have 15 minutes, you are ministers in your country, you have 15 minutes to solve a problem in your community and present it back to us. So the trick was in this spot to be a leader. How? Like all of my friends started grabbing papers and writing down on their own, but we are a group of ministers and you should be working as a team. So the trick was is to lead them to like, oh guys, now I was telling them, we are ministers, so let's start discussing what problem we would like to solve in Lebanon. And you lead the conversation, how we are speaking, and you do the troubleshooting and you do the planning. You show them that you can think on the spot how to target the problem, how to solve it, how to split the task. So all of those stuff I learned back from volunteering. And when I start working with big organization, I started noticing, oh, where did I learn that? Then I go back to volunteering. Oh, I learned that from that situation. So those kind of skills, you really implement them even in your daily life and in your interviews and when you apply to scholarships and every single thing. And Muhammad here with me, he got accepted at program at Harvard, both of us. That's how we met there. And also they look for leadership roles and they look for leadership skills, and that's how we both got accepted at Harvard University. So again and again, I keep repeating leadership, but truly it's the key nowadays, because being a leader, it's like the biggest privilege that you can have as a trait in your personality, and every one of you can be a leader. You just have to believe in yourself. All right, so my takeaway message to all of you is whenever the circumstances around you, whether they were bad, whether they were like hurting you a lot and damaging you, try your best not to think about those. Focus about the person that you really are. You're a person who want to make a great change and make a difference in your community. So those circumstances around you doesn't matter, because when you start actually doing actions and seeing the impact that you are doing, that would be so satisfying. You're gonna start forgetting all about the circumstances around you. And it's totally fine to feel down from day to day. Like, all right, I can be always motivated, I can always be inspiring, but sometimes as any other person I just feel down. I'm not motivated anymore, I don't want to do anything. So it's fine to take it as it's fine to feel sad, but what's the most important is to rise back up. All of us need a break. When we go down, we should always know how to get back up. It's the only thing. So at any time you feel down, just take a rest, go out with your friend, do whatever makes you happy. Volunteering makes me happy for some reason. I really do love it. So when I'm sad, I volunteer, or sometimes I go to my friend's house. But it's totally fine to take a break from time to time. And what is most important is to rise back up. Second thing I want really all of you to do, whenever you see a problem in your community, stand up for it. No matter how much complicated it is, you can do it and you can actually solve that problem. So when you see something that it's hurting you and making you sad and affecting a lot of people, don't say I cannot do it. You can, because you start little by little expanding those actions that you are doing. I saw someone on the street, let's see, he doesn't have any food. All right, of course I have leftovers at home, so I can take that food and give it to him. And I can talk to my friends to get all the food that they have as leftovers and give it to those people. So yeah, whenever you see a problem, just stand up for it because you can solve it. Only believe in yourself and go forward with it. And finally, the most important point it's my favorite quote actually. It's be the difference you wish to see in this world. Because each one of us can be that change that they are looking for. It only takes commitment, passion, and believing in yourself that you can do it. Because when you rise up, you don't rise up alone. You make all the people around you rise up. You make people believe in themselves. Some people, they only need the nudge for someone to rise up. Some people, they look up to you and they also rise up. So be that factor that make people, when they are on the rock bottom, they shall rise up and create a difference all around the world. Thank you. Now we're gonna be opening up for question and answer. You can ask me about anything. So yeah, feel free to ask.
Yes, Mariam, you can see in question answer box here there.
Yes, let me check
Ah,
them.
okay.
All right. What is the best memory in your volunteering life? That's a hard question. Let me think. There's so many good memories. All right. Uh, it is a good, like it's a bad slash a good memory. I'm gonna start why it was bad. So it's a problem that you may face in volunteering. When you start volunteering, you are happy that you are helping a lot of people. But when you start seeing how much people are suffering around you, it kills you from the inside that a lot of people are suffering. And you start feeling whatever you are doing, it's not enough. It's a dilemma that I had. Like, I was volunteering, all right, I was happy, I was helping people, but in the end of the day, I was thinking there's so much more people who need help and I can't do anything about it. So like, I started volunteering more and more and more to like fill this void I was feeling from the inside. But I could not fill it. The Sunday at volunteering, the soap kitchen I was in, there was a small child. His name is Amir. So I was giving him a plate of food, and I used always to play with him when we finished volunteering. He came to me and he told me, "Thank you, thank you for playing with me and giving me this plate of food. You truly make me happy." That moment, I realized those small actions that I'm doing through volunteering, I may feel that they are not enough. I felt they are not enough to help all people, but I was not thinking about the impact that I was actually doing. I think I felt so happy that moment because like I got slapped back to the reality that small action that we can do is really changing people's life. It was changing the life of Amir. So I think it's one of the most memorable volunteering experience because it gave me again the motivation I had at first that why I'm volunteering. I was volunteering because it I was impacting people's life and I was changing their life. I could not help everyone, but little by little we can help everyone. And I used to forget that because I was addicted to that feeling of helping people and I wanted to do more and more. And I didn't like have all the time that I needed to do more and more. But Amir made me realize back that small action that you do that it can help so many people and make them so much happier. So yeah, this was my most memorable experience. All right. Um, answer live. You would like to. All right. How to enter in United Nations volunteer scope? I think you mean. All right. Mm-hmm. Alright, so volunteering by the United Nations, you only have to fill out the application, and whenever they have opportunities through your application online, your profile, they're gonna tell you we have this volunteering opportunity, apply with us, and you start applying for it and filling out the application. So yeah, just notice why you fill out the application. When you answer questions, like they're gonna ask you question for like write 1,000 word. Just don't answer it directly. Tell it as a story. Don't just tell it in a dry way. Let's say if someone told me talk about your leadership position, let's say my leadership position at my initiative as a founder. And now I'm gonna say, my name is Mariam Mohammed. I'm the founder of Alama Mahai. We aim to raise literacy. That would be boring. What I say, 70% of the street children in Lebanon are suffering from lack of education. They are illiterate. They are being used by the mafias. They don't have any childhood. And upon witnessing that problem, I want to create something to solve that problem. That's why I founded an initiative called Alama Mahai, which means pencil and eraser. By those, we're gonna erase illiteracy among street children in Lebanon and empower them to have a better future. So as you see the difference, when I'm not gonna say, "Oh hi, my name is blah blah blah," or no, I'm gonna start making it very impressive. That's how they're gonna be hooked by reading it. You need to hook the person who are reading as if they are talking to you. So let's see another question. Hi Mariam, how did you manage academics along with volunteerings? All right. So Fatima, I think your name. Also, this is a question I get very often. So it's about time management. Also, another thing you learn by volunteering is how to manage your time. For me, I really wanted to volunteer all my free time to volunteering. That's why what I did, I did time management. Let's say I'm in the medical field, so medical field requires a lot of timing. So in class, I used to really focus a lot in the class and takes a lot of notes. So when I go back home and I want to study, I like just read through the notes and I'm gonna remember everything. And same goes for the exams. So my trick to actually balance between my volunteering and my work and with my academics is to really pay so much attention in class and focus a lot. And whenever I'm in the university and I have a break between the classes, I used to read the notes, to revision stuff, or if something I did not understand, I used to go and ask the doctors. And whenever I have an exam, let's say today is, let's say, Thursday, and I have an exam on Monday, if I used to split the time. Let's say I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I have 3 days to study, and I want to volunteer for, let's say, 10 hours those 3 days. I used to split the time between those, depends on like how hard the exam will be. But I used to like balance it out. You need to find this balance between your work and between your education, also between your life, because also it's very important to have time for your friends, for your family, and for yourself, of course. So it's about time management. It's a little bit hard, but a trick that can also give to you is to do a weekly planning. Every Sunday, sit down and say, this week I want to achieve this 5 goals. Like, I want to study for my, let's say, microbiology exam. I want to volunteer in 3 NGOs. I want to go out with my friends twice. Let's say, I want to go out with my family once. So you split those goals through those week, and this way you know how, like, every day what do you have to do and what to get done in that day. And every day you leave something I call a buffer time. A buffer time, like, let's say something urgent came up, so like you have this buffer time to compensate for the loss of time through this urgent stuff. So that's how actually I manage my schedule. I used to do monthly schedule, but this didn't work out, so I started doing weekly schedule, and this worked out. All right. Thank you, Fatima, for this comment. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see another question. First of all, salute you. Thank you, Ashimi. As a girl, it's really hard to come up for volunteering. What was your family reaction at first and now? All right. So being completely honest with you guys, from my side, my mothers and my older brothers, because I don't have any sister, I have only older male siblings. They were fine with it. They are very supportive, my mother and my siblings. On the other hand, my dad was the only problem. So when I started volunteering, I didn't tell my dad I was going for volunteering. I used to tell him we have an extra classes after class. Let's say I finish school at 2 or 3. I used to tell him we have extra classes or extra curriculum stuff for like 6, and I used to go volunteering. Of course, my mom and my siblings used to know that, but my dad, I didn't used to tell him that because he would never, never, ever agree on that. So I used to lie concerning it, but when I grew older, when I was about in the ninth grade, I came up and told him I'm volunteering in my community, and you have to accept that, because I used to tell him like, I want to be educated, and even if you don't agree on that, I'm not gonna listen because something I want for myself. And when I started volunteering, I told him I'm helping people in my community. I'm proving him. I think the most important thing I did with my father, I changed his mentality, because now he accepts everything that I do. Now I'm a university student and he's very proud about it. He saw how much girls can create a change in their community, because that they didn't used to think girls can do anything. So I proved him otherwise. I changed this mentality, and changing a mentality and like a cultural mentality that he had since he was a little, it's something extremely hard. It took me years to change that. So now dad accepts everything that I do, and he's very proud because I showed him girls can create impact. Girls can be whatever they want to be. I want to be a scientist. I don't want to be something that he envisioned for girls. So at first I was not completely honest. Then I was like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm gonna tell him, and I told him that like I'm being educated and now I'm volunteering in my community and I'm helping people, and you have to accept it. And if you don't accept it, it's my life, it's my decision. So I advise girls who their parents have similar mentalities. First, sit down with your parents and talk to them, prove to them, like tell them we know someone who through volunteering was able to travel to the United States, who was travel all around the world through volunteering. Prove to them that volunteering is very important. Some parent who they would fall for that, and they will be like, oh, okay, we're gonna let you volunteer. So little by little, we're gonna have less restrictions. That's what I do. So in Lebanon, I also talk to a lot of girls whose their parents have similar mentalities, and when I told them I was able to achieve a lot of things by volunteering, they agree. I told them now I'm the vice president at the Red Cross. I told them to so many stuff. So they start, oh, all right, we can get benefit out of it. So they let people volunteer. So sit with your parents and tell them how important is volunteering, because you're not only making impact in your community, you as a person, you are benefiting a lot. And later on, when you apply for scholarship for your undergrad or maybe for your PhD, it makes you a really special person, that you are a leader and you are a committed volunteer in your community. And the worst case scenario, you can do as me at the start, say you have an extra curriculum, or you can say the school is forcing us to do volunteering, and you can go ahead with it. And little by little, they're gonna start accepting that you're a person who really wanna create a difference. All right. All right. Hope I answered your question, Hashimi. All right. How do you manage your personal expense? All right. So for my personal expense, it depends. Like I'm a person who don't like really need a lot of money to go by. So if I have a volunteering event and it's really far, I can take the bus. It costs around like $1, let's say, or less. In Lebanon, like the old currency without before the economical situation nowadays, it was about 1,500 Lebanese, which is basically nothing in Lebanon. So it was really cheap. My expenses, my brother actually lives now in the United States of America, so he have a good income, so he support me financially. But that doesn't mean like I throw money around. If the money is unnecessary to like do it there, I just like don't go and pay money for that thing. You need to learn how to get all the stuff that you want for like low prices. Let's say you can go through the bus. If it's like a 20-minute 15-minute walk, you can go walking. I do a lot of walking. I do like sometimes 35-minute walking. It's fun, just put some music on and walk. It's totally fine. If your friends have a car and you have a really far event and you can reach it by bus or by taxi, your friends can drive you. And when you volunteer, sometimes they pay you, not all the times. United Nations, they do pay their volunteers. Sometimes maybe working on short-term project, you can also get some kind of income. It's like about, let's say, $600. You're also from the skills that you have as a leader, like project planning, implementing. Sometimes NGOs tell you, come to our NGOs and help us plan this project, we're gonna pay you. So actually, from the skills that you learn for free, you're gonna get paid eventually because you have those skills. So yeah, a small project here and there, you can collect some money, and yeah, and that's it. Let's see, what do we have to? Uh, it's anonymous attendee. Is there any moment did you feel insecure about being a woman in your life? Yes, definitely yes. Especially when I was growing up, because it's not only my father with this mentality, it's his father, it's like all his family side and my mom's sides of the family. Some of them have this mentality, which is very hard to like work with, because I want to be a scientist, a medical scientist, and for them, if I want to have a university degree, all I should be is a teacher at a school, which is, if someone love it, it would be something huge for them. But for me, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a scientist. They often saw this as an option for a male and not for a female. They used to mock me, oh, we want to be a scientist. Let's see how this will far will go. And also, when I volunteer a lot, I'm gonna say, no, you should not be going alone. You are a girl. Actually, now in Lebanon, I don't know if you know about the explosion. I had to move to the countryside. I used to live in Beirut. So in the countryside, there is not a lot of opportunities, but I was lucky enough to, I did go on Google and I Googled NGOs inside the countryside. And I wanted to go there to volunteer. And all my mom's family said, they were like, no, you're not, you're a girl, you should not be going alone. Even though now I'm 21 and I'm fully independent, I travel alone. But I was like, for them, I want to go alone. It doesn't matter if I'm a girl. But it does sometimes, people around you make you feel insecure. But it's all about being strong mentally. And no, it doesn't matter if I'm a girl or I'm a boy, because there is no difference between us. as much as a boy can defend themselves and go whenever they want anywhere, girl can also do that. Just be precautious about it and be confident, because it's sad to say that our community really sometimes make girls feel insecure, but just don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. When they tell me, oh, you're a girl, you cannot do that, and I'm like, okay, it's your opinion, I respect it, but I don't believe that. I'm gonna do whatever in my head. That's something that I learned. Whenever they say, girl, that you can do that, I'm gonna say, no, I'm gonna do that, and I prove them wrong. And that's the case. All right, another question. As a leader, what do you feel yourself, and what is the core message you have to convey to the society and the message for us? Okay, also, Hashami. So the message I want to convey for leaders is also to motivate others to be leaders too. Because if you are only a leader, the impact will not like expand a lot. It's gonna be like trapped in your own circle. But on the other hand, when you inspire, let's say, your friends to be leaders, and they told their friends to be leaders, trust me, the circle of impact will increase. What I focus in my initiative, Allow Mahai, my volunteers, I like monitor them to be leaders. I see their weak points, like they may be weak at troubleshooting. I try to work on that, so they became leaders and they start like doing their own initiatives. That's why I really want leaders to do, is to make other leaders too. And the message I really want to convey for everyone is to stand up, because the hardest step of achieving anything that you want is actually going for it and trying, because if you never tried, you'll never know. And I apply to a lot of programs, internship, fellowships. Not all the time I get accepted, which is totally fine. Sometimes they are overqualified for the position. Sometimes there are people who are stronger than you, and it's totally fine. Failing, it's a part of the process of being successful. So if you fail, you got rejected, it's totally fine. Just look at it, laugh about it. At least you tried, and you're gonna learn from it. So, yeah, always stand up for whatever you see and never lose the confidence in yourself, because you are actually able to do it. All right, as a volunteer, what are the main challenges faced by you? All right, so the challenge that most of the volunteers that may face, that I talked about it before, is like while seeing so many suffering, they may forget why did they start volunteering at first, because no matter how much you are helping, a lot of people still needs help. So I think it's the biggest challenge any volunteer can face, especially people who volunteer in so many NGOs, because they see a lot of people who are suffering from different things, some people medically, some people hungry, some people poor. So you start seeing those problems and you're like, what I'm doing, I won't be able to help those amount of people. But what we really think about is like the small actions and maybe big actions that we are doing that are making those people happier, they are giving them hope. Maybe one of those people wanted to suicide out of poverty, but no, they found someone to talk to them, to help them, to give them food, maybe able to provide them with shelter. They give them hope again. So by volunteering, you are giving people hope, which is so much important for them. For me, I think that's the hardest challenge a volunteer can ever face, and finding back their faith in what they are doing. All right, so let's see another question. Mm-hmm. Assalamu alaikum, walaikum salam. Currently, I'm serving as a UN volunteer in the PUS, so alright, and I have, congratulations first, and I have worked as a national youth volunteer for 2 years under Minister of Youth Affairs, alright, and then international volunteering program, suggest international work in the same field. All right. So as you work in the UN, you should know that they have a lot of international volunteering opportunities. It's actually more than the national volunteering opportunities. So just write down on Google international volunteering opportunities at the UN. There's a lot of volunteering opportunities with the United Nations in Africa. It's paid. It's like $1,000, I think, the salary or something. It's volunteering, but it really pays well. And yeah, and if you want organization to volunteer with, there is the HULT prize, HULT prize. It's also for social entrepreneurship. They also requires volunteers, and later on they may hire them as employees. You travel all around the world with Help Prize because it's in every single country around the world. So yeah, you have Help Prize, you have the United Nations International Volunteering Programs. There is one NGO called LOYAC. It's LOYAC. We have a part in Lebanon, there is in Kuwait, and there is in Jordan and Yemen. So yeah, they also take international volunteers. And yeah, and whenever you want to find an international volunteering opportunity, you can always Google it for more opportunities. But I highly recommend the Holt Prize and the United Nations International Volunteering Programs and the LOIC. All right, let's see another question. I hope I answered you, Mansour. How do you overcome the ridiculous act of some community against your volunteership? Alright, for those questions, if I want to pay attention to every criticize I get from people, because a lot of people say, oh, you are just filling out your free time. You are just wasting your time by volunteering. You're not gonna make a lot of impact. You are barely helping anyone. You hear so many negative comments from your community, and I just look at them, totally just tell them, I respect your opinion, but it's my life. I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm helping a lot of people. And yeah, just ignore them. If I'm gonna keep listening to those negative comments, I would not be able to do anything that I do nowadays. So just don't care about what other people say. And something you're gonna learn also from volunteering, we're gonna get a lot of negative feedback from a lot of people. There's a difference between constructive feedback and negative feedback, but what community give us is negative feedback, which is the bad feedback. So yeah, just don't care about it. It's your life. You're enjoying what are you doing, no matter how small or how big it is. And nobody have a say in it, because as long as you are enjoying it and you are accepting what are you doing, nobody have a say in it. So just ignore those people and your action will prove them otherwise. For all my family that used to say, "Oh, you're not gonna get anything by volunteering," I got accepted in a very prestigious programs, fully funded. I got in Lebanon. I work with several, like I work with the Red Cross, I work with the UNDP, I work in really big organizations, and all through volunteering. So I proved them wrong, and now they don't have the courage to say any comment, because I'm like, oh, if I didn't volunteer, I would not achieve anything. So no. So yeah, let your actions do like the work, and they're gonna be like, oh, it was a bad comment. Let's see any more questions. I hope I answered your question. All right, Suli. Hi, Mariam. Hello. How do you figure out which organization is best to volunteer in? So first, let's say you like working with children. So you write on Google NGOs that work with children, and there's like 10 NGOs popped up in India if you are from India. So you start seeing, is this away from my home? Is this so far from my home? If you can like pay for transportation, then you can choose any NGO that you want. But you start reading about their projects, about their activities. So some NGOs, they work for the same cause, but if each one of them like solve it differently by different projects. Maybe you like projects that involve working with children. Maybe you like planning. So it depends what you really like doing. And if you don't know what you like doing, put diverse options and try volunteering in each one of them. And then later on, you will see, oh, I'm really passionate about that. And when you go volunteer where you feel you fit the most, go there and volunteer there. So first, just like look what do you like maybe you like let's say giving out food, maybe you like working in construction, there is like NGOs to construct houses for poor people. So just look for what do you really like and try to find those NGOs online. On Google you can find anything that you want in any part of the world. All right. From Muhammad. Hi, Muhammad. How do we get started volunteering on working in placing like Palestine? I think you mean Palestine. Uh, in Palestine, if you are in Palestine, there is the Youth Leadership Program, which is here in Lebanon, I'm the advisory board member in. So the youth leadership program, if you are in Palestine, I highly recommend joining it as a participant first, because you're gonna learn a lot of skills about the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. You're gonna learn about the social innovation. You're gonna learn about so many things, and from it you can create your own volunteering initiative. So something here we do at the youth leadership program is that we create our own volunteering opportunities. We go down, we clean beaches, or we do like the small volunteering initiatives and implement them. And also a note, if you didn't find anything that you like volunteering in, like you didn't find any NGOs, go ahead and do an initiative. It's not very hard to create an initiative. I saw a problem, I have a solution in my mind how to help them. I just go forward and help it. You don't need a lot of money. At my initiative, we only need the A4 papers and pencils, which is very cheap, and I can go to any library and ask for a donation. So you can create sustainable solution for cheap prices or almost for free. So yeah, in Palestine there is also an NGO that I know, my friend is there. It's for people who have some hearing difficulties. So also just go on Google, write NGOs in Palestine, and you are able to find so many things there. But I highly recommend youth leadership program if you are in Palestine. Okay, Muhammad, I hope I answered this question. Now, Hanan, how do you meet your financial needs? Since I'm a volunteer in Search Foundation, it's always hard to collect money for, all right, how to get donations. So it depends on which topic you are working in your NGO. Let's say if you are working about food security, if you are working about health, so it depends. So you can go again on Google and write grants. Grants, it's donations for free, like they don't need anything in return, just impact. They want impact in return. So you write grants for projects about, let's say, erasing illiteracy or about food security, and also United Nations like the UNDP, UNICEF. If it's something related to their work, they give a lot of funding. So yeah, you just can go online and look for fundings, and you can ask the government for funding. Sometimes the government give, or you can work with other NGOs so they can provide you with funding. You can provide with the volunteer and skills and the planning. So it depends on your what are you doing and where you can find the funding, but mostly go online, or you can find so many opportunities. And one thing you need to prepare for the grants, it's the financial planning. So you need to get someone on board who is have experience in how to do the financial planning for the project. All right, we have seven more questions. Where did you study? All right. So even though I was born in Lebanon and still living and being raised in Lebanon, I'm originally Palestinian, but in Lebanon, even if you are born here, you don't get the Lebanese nationality. They give us this refugee card, Palestinian refugee in Lebanon. So yeah, I'm studying in, like, it's not my original country, but it's my place of birth. So I study in Lebanon, and I currently live in Lebanon. Hopefully next year I'll be applying for my PhD abroad. So yeah, I studied in Lebanon and I'm living here now. Answer live. All right, Safwan, I hope I answered your question. From Shamma, is your father proud of you now? Yes, he is proud of me now because he was able finally to see that girls can actually be something if they want to and if they believe in themselves. All right, what kind of traits would you like to see in a good volunteer? The only thing people look at volunteers, they like, in my initiative, we don't care if you are shy, we don't care if you are introvert, we don't care, let's say, if you are weird. There is no weird, because every person is unique. But we don't care about all this kind of stuff. They are just shallow stuff. We just care that you are passionate for the cause, and you are passionate about something, it shows in your work. So when I first started volunteering, I was like this teeny tiny chicken in between sea of strangers. I was really young then, and all the people that was volunteering there were really old. So I felt like I was the outsider because I was really young, but I was very passionate about what I'm doing because I was feeding homeless people. It was something I really want to do. So it felt right, and my passion was showed through my action, and that impressed the leader of the NGO. So yeah, just they just look for passion about the cause. That's it. That's it. Um, what qualities make you a global volunteer? Again, for Muhammad, being a global volunteer, when I was in the United States, I also volunteered for Volunteers of America. So it's also about being passionate and being committed. The first event I want to volunteer in the United States, it was for people who have mental disabilities. They have like schizophrenia and these kind of mental disorders, and it's very hard to work with them, especially they are old people. But I love helping people, so like I just turned on the music and I started doing like dancing and making everyone get up and dance with their walkers, and it was really nice. So when you are passionate about something, you just figure out a way how to make everyone around you happy and create this environment that will make them feel happy and excited, no matter how sick or how tired they are. You can make them happy and yeah, feel amazing. So global volunteers, they also look people who are passionate and really want to help those people. So just showing your passion from the way that you are talking and definitely your action, people will be impressed by it. All right, now for the final question. Hello, Ashami. Thank you first. What are your future plans? You are really inspiring and all the best for you. Alright, so next year, hopefully, if the situation in Lebanon get better, I'm gonna be finishing my BS degree, my first degree, and I'll be applying for my PhD. I really like a field called immunology. If anyone is familiar with, it's about the immune system. So yeah, I want to be a scientist at immunology. I want to create diseases for incurable diseases, the disease where your body kill itself. It's called autoimmune diseases. And at the same time, I want to, as much as I can, whenever I go, people around me, I want them to be leaders and help them, inspire them, and motivate them to be leaders so I can spread this chain of impact all around the world. And most definitely, I want to keep creating impact in my community. And whenever I go, whether it was in Lebanon, in the United States, or whenever I go, I just want to help people and make them feel happy and create this huge change. So yeah, that's my plans for the future, hopefully. Um, think we still have one more. No, we are done. All right. All right. So we answered all the questions. Does anyone have any more questions to ask?
I think no, Mariam. Yes, the word of leader or volunteer is not a single caption. They are change makers. Thank you, Miss Mariam Muhammad. You gave a wonderful session by your experience, and we proud of you and congratulate you. And yes,
Thank you, Mohammed, for this opportunity. I'm really glad I met all of you virtually.
one word
uh,
from the head of the Wings of Hope that
yes,
this was the best session in the Explore 2.0. I can say that because as you've seen that the most of the students were actively participating. There were many questions asked by the attendees. It was a great and it was amazing presentation, and I can say that it was amazing presentation and you presented it in a very systematic manner, and moreover your presentation was very amazing. And what we can say, because the inspirational presentation was you have done, because we are also Wings of Hope team also doing uh, a kind of this kind of leadership emerging program in our particular locality. It was very inspiring for us, because as you fought with your father for your higher education and all, this was very inspiring for us. And one more thing, that whenever we think this kind of, whenever we participating this kind of program, we'll think that it is easy for us, as you explained it us with regard to the uh, joining in the United Nation programs, we think that whenever this kind of program, whenever we participating this kind of program, we'll think that it is easy for us, especially for us. At that particular point of time, we will think that it is very easy for us. But when we left the program, we'll think that, oh, it is not practical for the people like me or the student like me. This is impossible for us. And moreover, we'll think that in economically, this is not feasible for us. So what would be the solution? What would be the how we could overcome this kind of problem as a ordinary person? As you said that you were coming from this kind of poor no, background, and you were very poor, and you fought against the anti-social, I mean, what we negative social elements. So what would be the solution for this kind of problems as a ordinary student?
All right. First, thank you for all the feedback. It really made me tear up. Really, thank you. Answering your question, there's no ordinary people. First, everyone who attended this sessions that Muhammad is doing Wings of Hope, they are doing, it means that you are not an ordinary person. You are a unique person. You are an extraordinary people because you want to change, you want to improve yourself. So that doesn't make you an ordinary people, because when you attend such an events, you want to improve, you want to be a better person so you can make a better community. So first, you're not an ordinary person at all. So now answering your question, coming from poor background, something I believe in that people who had rough past, or like they have a poor background, they felt how it is to be poor and how to be not privileged and having so many stuff that you need. So because we feel this pain, we also know how hard it is. That's why we just want to help. So when we were really underprivileged in the past, we barely had any food. But let's say my mom used to make me sandwich every morning to the school. I was in the sixth grade. I don't know how old I was back then. But I used to give out my sandwich to people on the street. Yes, we didn't have a lot of money. I stayed without food till I got home. But if I give that person my sandwich, it may be his only meal for the day. On the other hand, I have a small meal at home. So even if you are underprivileged, you can do a lot of things. Let's say that you know how to read and write. You can go to the streets and find children who cannot read and write, those street children who work all day long. You can offer
Yes.
them to teach them how to write or how to read. Or you can go volunteer to a place nearby your house and help people. It's totally cost free. And little by little you're gonna start having schools, and by those skills you can start gaining a little bit of money which can you invest for projects on your own. So it doesn't matter if you say I'm an ordinary person. There is no ordinary people, and everyone is unique in their own way. They just have to discover in which way they are unique in. And it doesn't matter if we have a poor background, if someone like try to demotivate us like my father did. It's just about believing in yourself that you can be that difference that you want to see in this world, and working for it no matter the circumstances. Start by small actions. Maybe in your school start tutoring someone for free, or doing those study groups to help everyone before the exam. So those small action here, you can create a lot of impact, and they are cost free. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mariam.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Anyway, this world needs you and waiting for more leaders like you for a change the society. We thinking after the last session, many leaders will become a change makers. Anyway, we're going to conclude Explore 2.0 International webinar. Every participant must be keep touch with Wings of Hope and send us your valuable feedback, whatever positive or negatives for more improvements ourselves, and we will be expecting we give you more programs like these leadership emerging programs, and like these programs every time we trying to better experience as a rural background students and for valuable concepts. So anyway, thank you everyone, and thank you Ms. Mariam Mohammed, and keep touch with Wings of Hope. Thank you. We're going to end Explore 2.0 International webinar. Waiting for your feedbacks in to us mail or our contact number. Thank you.
Eh?